lot of the locking nuts have a little piece of plastic that's embedded in the thread on it, and it also helps prevent a back out. Don't let load bearing rotate on threads. So if you've got an axle and you've got a wheel turning, don't have that bearing riding on the thread of a bolt. If you're doing something like that, use a shoulder bolt as your bearing surface. A shoulder bolt, here's the head, it's got a shoulder, and then your threads. Here's where your bearing surface is. You can put, most of those come in a standard size where you can put a bearing right on that. Also, get a selection of set screws. Last year, we were going from team to team to team at regional because we had lost a set screw, and it was a size that we didn't have in our inventory. Lesson learned, just have a selection of them for everything in the sizes, for everything that you're using on the robot. It's going to save you a lot of hassle. Okay, here's sources for those. Motion Industries, we talked about MasterCard and MSC. Both those have a book that's about that thick, probably 1,500 to 2,000 pages worth of components that they sell. MSC is a sponsor for, or has been in past years, sponsor for FIRST Robotics, and they give you a discount. We've got McMaster-Carr locally here. You can't go to the store and buy it, but you can order it. Stock Drive products, Boston Gear, Berg Gear, Martin Gear, McGuire bearings. We talked about IFI, Andy Mark, Bainbot small parts. I don't use Tower Hobbies usually, but they'll have small components, miniature pieces, Tacoma screw, and high-strength bolts. So here again, Motion Industry, things like chains, timing belts, gears, sprockets, bearings, axles. Call, place the order. They're FIRST friendly. You can go in and ask them for catalogs. Martin Gear is a great source of data. Berg and Boston Gear are also. Stock Drive products, as I said, also has CAD models for their components. They carry timing belts, gears, sprockets, specialty fasteners. Their fasteners tend to be smaller sizes. PIC Design also has small components. Kirk Motion is where you can get lead screws. You can also buy them through McMaster-Carr, but their website you can get in, and they're the ones that have the different screw types. They've got Acme types, they've got quad lead, a number of different types of lead screws. McMaster-Carr and MSC, they've got about everything. We buy our axles through McMaster-Carr. We buy them. We've had designs where we've used both keyed and unkeyed. IFI used to be the source for the robot controller. We went to National Instruments this year, but they still have a lot of components there. A lot of the KitBot parts. Andy Mark. Andy Mark is a company formed by Andy and Mark. They were so much into the robotics, they formed a company and they build components. We get our wheels from them. We're looking at their gearboxes. You can buy your Mecanum wheels through them. Bainbot, McGuire bearings. Okay. Electrical, I'm going to have to rush through these. Optical encoders we use on the base for determining position. It counts how many revolutions on your output shaft. It's very useful for positional feedback. It converts real-time shaft angle and speed and direction into a TTL compatible quadrature output that your your controllers will use to give you rotation. You can get them anywhere from 0 to 100,000 cycles per second. Potentiometer is like a encoder. It gives you position. Think of it like your dimmer switch on your lights, and it's great for where you don't necessarily need as high precision position for arm placement, things like that. Potentiometers are used for position transducers, for example, in joysticks. Wiring, pay attention to gauge requirements. In the first rule book, it tells you for the size of the circuit, what size of gauge, what gauge of wire to use. Splurge for the flexible wire. There isn't much room in the robot. You don't want something that's real stiff. You want something that you can get position. Stick with traditional color coding convention. It saves you time in troubleshooting, plus the rule book dictates your color coding. Connectors, there's a plethora of different types of connectors. If you have a lot of signal wires, I like using a sub-miniature D connector like a DB9. Comes in a variety of shell size to accommodate a wide selection of connections. If you're trying to connect 11 pins versus 25 or 30, they come in a lot of different sizes. For power, you can go to an automotive supply store. I prefer to use a box connector like the Anderson Power Pole. You can get those through PowerWorks, or you can buy them locally by a company called Vetco, which is up on Northup Way. PWM cables, those go to every one of your motor controllers, your spikes. And PWM is pulse width modulation. It's used for output control on motors and sensors. Stock up. At least with the old control system, we used a lot of them. They can either be bought or made. They are made up of a ribbon cable, and then they've got a Molex connector on them. We've had some problems with those breaking, so buy extras. Connectors, buy an inventory of male and female spade connectors. Get them in, they're color coded, but get them in the different sizes. Same thing for ring terminals. You can get them, you'll probably want number 6 studs, number 10 studs, and 1/4-inch studs. So here's source of supply: Newark, DigiKey, Mouser, PowerWorks, US Digital. Vetco's a great source of supply locally. Vetco's also open on Saturdays and Sundays. They have wire connection, heat shrink, those types of things. Home Depot and Ace Hardware and Lowe's are also a good source of supply for common things. I don't buy most of my fasteners there, but if you're looking for PVC, you're looking for tools, they're a good source of supply. Okay? That ends it. Acknowledgement, special thanks to Jim Wright. For those of you that know Jim, he's a mentor for Bellevue High School. He's also part of Seattle Robotics Society. He built the seed that I built on for this presentation. Okay, that concludes it. I ran about 3 minutes over. My apologies. I hope that I gave you some good sources. Thank you.